morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fort Myers. Inspired by love, we transform ourselves and serve others. My name is Lesley Peterson, and it's my privilege to serve as the Vice President for Worship and as a worship associate for this congregation. I am joined by one of my fellow worship associates, Andrea Joy. I am also pleased to be sharing the chancel with our organist, Jeff Letts, and our small but mighty choir. I'd also like to give thanks to our amazing tech team who make it possible for us to come together in this hybrid service. There's so much that they do behind the scenes to make all of this happen, and I'm very grateful for all of their hard work and dedication. Today, we will be exploring two themes: AIDS Awareness Day, as well as the beginning of the Christmas season, or Advent. I invite you to come into this space with an open heart. As we join together, I'd like to extend a special welcome to our guests. I'd like to invite you to complete a connection card. The link is in the chat box, and if you have taken one from the greeters table, if you could fill that out, that would be wonderful. The most important gift that you can give us is a chance to get to know you. Members may use the card for a change in contact information or a caring concern that you'd like our pastoral care associates to address. Here at UUCFM, one of the ways that we seek to grow in love is by fostering a climate of purposeful inclusion and safety of all people, regardless of race, ethnicity, age, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity,
regardless of race, ethnicity,
spiritual path, or
age, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, spiritual path, or national origin.
On whose native land
we honor and
let us remember that Indigenous people are still with us. We honor, recognize, and celebrate you. If you are attending by Zoom, please keep your microphone muted and refrain from placing messages in the chat box unless you are asked to do so. And now, let us begin our service.
And now, let us begin our service.
Good morning. Preparing this service, I have had these two different important days be marked, totally opposite ends of the spectrum. We have the first day of Advent, the beginning of an exciting celebrational time, and then we also have World AIDS Day, marking the ongoing battle for a cure for HIV and AIDS, and commemorating those who've been lost to the disease. While wanting to remember one, I need to remember to balance the other. Today, December 1st, is the very first day of Advent. Whether you are celebrating within a Christian faith or other, the Advent is the preparation for the arrival of new life. But December 1st also marks World AIDS Day. WHO, the World Health Organization, joins partners and communities to commemorate in 2024 with the theme, Take the Rights Path, My Health, My Right. In this year's campaign, WHO is calling on global leaders and citizens to champion the right to health by addressing the inequities that hinder progress in ending AIDS. As a faith that honors the inherent worth and dignity of each individual, we can recommit ourselves to the fight against HIV and AIDS. We can honor those who lost their lives because we don't yet have a cure. As we begin our service, I ask that we remember the 42.9 million lives that have been lost. I ask you to close your eyes and imagine the faces of the 39.9 million people who continue to live with this as a chronic disease. in need of ongoing treatments to hold it at bay. See the children who suffer with HIV and AIDS, the AIDS orphans who have lost parents because of the disease. Let us remember that we can continue to fight for HIV and AIDS prevention and the search for a cure. Let us continue this in our search for social justice. With that call to your awareness today, I'd like to begin this worship service with words by Elena Westbrook. In a world ravaged by violence, by hatred, by conflicts that seem eternal and insoluble, sometimes the only thing we can do is be still for a moment, to remind ourselves what is real. That the sun rose this morning, the dirt under our feet, the air whispering in and out of our lungs. This hour, try just to be present in each moment as it unfolds. Your simple attention is what makes these moments holy. Blessed be our hope, and amen. Please rise in body or spirit as we light our chalice. Let our chalice be the sacred vessel in which we come together as a congregation with love at the center. May that beautiful flame be the light of spirit, the sacred, the holy that resides in each and every one of us. Let this flame spark our call for social justice as we honor our shared principles. May it spark our shared hopes for our community, for our faith, and our covenants to one another and our future. Please read our covenant with me. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service its law. This is our great covenant. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Today, we also light the first candle on our Advent wreath. The candle for the first week is for faith. Faith was a concept I had not identified with in over 40 years of my spiritual life. So I had to ask myself, what is faith? Here's what I found. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for the conviction of things not seen. In our UU faith, we recognize our heritage from many different traditions. We have a calling to our own individual search for truth and meaning. Faith is knowing that our existence makes a difference, that we are important, that we are integral parts of the human experience. I found something on the UUA website that really spoke to my pagan background. With the arrival of winter's low dark sky, communities around the world look to the miracle of light as a sign of rebirth and a source for hope. We celebrate the promise of new life and recommit ourselves to the protection of everyone's right to his or her own radiant humanity. Celebrating the winter holidays is an excellent opportunity for Unitarian Universalist congregations to express their commitment to our sixth principle. We covenant to affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Through that goal, with our faith and love at the center of all that we do, we become integral parts of the human experience.
like to invite you to join in our responsive reading. It is We Are Known in Community by Lesley Takahashi, with the final stanzas added by Andrea Joy. We who have no all-knowing deity to whom to relegate all the heartbreaks and complexities of human hatreds often feel alone. We are held only in our search for truth. We who are not sure of what is larger than us are sometimes left with a sense of burden when the world is troubled. Our prayers witness and affirm mindful actions. We witness the voices of generations raised in oppression to one another. We witness strife and conflict and long for the one simple answer we know can never be. Our hope is to be open to new wisdoms and ancient truths. In our anger at the state of the world, we can lash out or are tempted to retreat within our own hearts. We are known in community. May we continue to strive to know one another in community. When we find ourselves in times of illness, strife, sorrow, or grief, we find our comfort in our community. For love is at the center of our shared principles and values, always. Love is at the center of all that we do, because it is community. I'd like to invite you now to rise in body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 135, How Happy Are They?
But I don't have a book for today. I do have a video for one. So please enjoy the video, Little Mole Finds Hope.
Hi, welcome to Dixie's Storytime World. Little Mole Finds Hope, written by Glenys Nellist and illustrated by Sally Garland. If you want to buy a copy of this beautiful book, the link is available in the description at the bottom of this video. Little Mole was sad. He lay in his burrow deep underground and put his head in his paws. Little Mole, whatever's wrong? Asked Mamma. I just don't know, Mamma, sniffed Little Mole, but I don't feel good inside. I'm sad. What you need is hope, Mamma said. Hope? What's hope? Where do I find it? Little Mole asked. Come with me, Mamma said as she took hold of Little Mole's paw. Sometimes hope is hiding in the darkness. Sometimes it's hard to see, but it's always there. You just have to find it. Mamma led her son gently out of the dark burrow up toward the light. But on their way out of the tunnel, Mamma stopped. Do you see this bulb, Little Mole? She asked. Mamma pointed to a bulb squashed in the dark earth. It was brown, wrinkled, and lifeless. It's dead, Mamma, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mamma whispered softly. This bulb is not dead. Sometime soon it will feel the warmth of the sun. It will begin to grow and push its way out of the deep cold earth. One day this bulb will become a beautiful yellow daffodil. Close your eyes, Little Mole. Can you see it dancing in the wind? Yes, Mamma, cried Little Mole. I see it, I see it. That is hope, Mamma said. Little Mole and Mamma reached the top of the burrow where the sun was shining. Look up, Little Mole, Mamma said. What do you see? Little Mole looked up. He saw woodpeckers sitting in the trees, but the branches were bare. They stretched out like skeleton bones silhouetted against the sky. They're dead, Mamma, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mamma whispered softly. The trees are not dead. One day soon, buds will appear, and these branches will be covered in bright green leaves. Close your eyes, Little Mole. Can you see them dancing in the wind? Yes, Mamma, cried Little Mole. I see them, I see them. That is hope, Mamma said. Little Mole and his Mamma scurried along the edge of the woods until they came to Mr. Rabbit's garden. An old brown flower pot was lying on its side in the soil. Under the rim, something small and shriveled was hanging. It's dead, Mamma, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mamma whispered softly. This chrysalis is not dead. One day soon, the butterfly growing inside will burst out of her shell. She will spread her wings and fly free among the flowers. Close your eyes, Little Mole, said Mamma. Can you see her dancing in the wind? Yes, Mamma, cried Little Mole. I see her, I see her. That is hope, Mamma said. Little Mole and his Mamma went home. I had a wonderful day today, Mamma, Little Mole said happily. Now I know that there's always hope, even in the darkest places. Mamma smiled as she tucked Little Mole into bed, pulled his quilt up under his chin, and kissed him good night. And Little Mole closed his eyes and fell fast asleep, dreaming of yellow daffodils, green trees, and beautiful butterflies dancing together in the wind. The end. Thank you for listening, kids, and always remember that there is always hope. I'll see you soon in another adventure. Always remember to be good polite, and kind.
Spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of light and compassion, many step away from people with AIDS out of ignorance or fear or denial. Help us to step toward our brothers and sisters who have AIDS, those who are an ocean away and those on the sidewalks down which we walk. Help us stand in solidarity with their suffering, in recognition of their worth. God of the poor, AIDS does not discriminate by race or religion or economic class, but people do. Help us to respond to the cry of the poor for AIDS medications and health care, for food, for education, for communities of support. Goddess of the orphan, there are villages in Africa where all of the adults have died of AIDS. Only their children remain. Help us to create a global village that will raise these children in love and hope into a secure future. Holy One of Justice, there are nations with the power to help fund a large percentage of the efforts that will slow the spread of global AIDS. Strengthen our call for a response that is wise and immediate and generous. Spirit of life, of our utmost hurts and heartbreaks, AIDS reaches us where we live. Be with us and those we have called to mind, the people we have loved, known or encountered, who are living with or who have died from AIDS. Blessed be, Aho, and Amen. Every Sunday we join together in a ceremony that we call the Stones of Intention. If you have a stone with you this morning, I invite you to hold that stone in your hand, close to your heart. During the musical meditation, come forward to place your stone in the bowls with others in this extended beloved community. Allow your stone to symbolize your intentions, reflections, prayers, joys, sorrows, or milestones in your life. If you have not already brought a stone with you into the sanctuary, you may choose one from the baskets next to the bowls of sand. For those of you joining us on Zoom or listening to the audio stream, you may also place a virtual stone of intention by clicking on the green button on our church's weekly order of worship. The direct link will be provided in the Zoom chat box. If you wish, you may include your thoughts and intentions in the Zoom chat box. Remember, whether you're here with us in this sanctuary or attending virtually, we are all participating in community with each other. And now let us begin.
place a stone in remembrance of those who have lost their lives to AIDS and HIV. And in prayer for those who live with this disease, many of whom cannot obtain treatment, in hopes that someday we will find a cure, and may that day be soon. And now a final stone is actually a shell, so that all of the things that are deep within us that we wish to pray for, that we could not put into words, all of those intentions, may they come out of the shells and be spoken, be felt, be heard. Blessed be our hope, and amen. Do you remember The Streets of Philadelphia, the song by Bruce Springsteen from the soundtrack of the movie Philadelphia? I wish I'd had it recorded to play for you, but I don't. So I'm going to read the words. I was bruised and battered and couldn't tell what I felt. I was unrecognizable to myself. Saw my reflection in a window. I didn't know my own face. Oh, brother, are you going to leave me wasting away on the streets of Philadelphia? I walked the avenue till my legs felt like stone. I heard the voices of friends vanished and gone. At night, I could hear the blood in my veins, just as black and whispering like rain. On the streets of Philadelphia, ain't no angel gonna greet me, just you and I, my friend. And my clothes don't fit me no more. I walked 1,000 miles just to slip this skin. The night has fallen, I'm lying awake. I can feel myself fading away. So receive me, brother, with your faithless kiss, or we will leave each other alone like this on the streets of Philadelphia. Some statistics regarding HIV and AIDS. Approximately 1.2 people in the U.S. have HIV, and 13% of them don't know it yet and still need to find testing. HIV continues to have disproportionate impact on certain populations, particularly racial and ethnic minorities, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals. By age group, the largest number of new AIDS infections occurred among people 25 to 35. People aged 13 to 24 accounted for 20% of the estimated new infections in 2022. HIV remains a major global public health issue, having claimed 42.3 million lives. Transmission is ongoing in all countries globally, and there were an estimated 39.9 million people living with HIV at the end of 2023. With sub-Saharan Africa home to approximately 2/3 of all people living with HIV globally, the hardest hit region in the world, followed by Asia and the Pacific. And right here, in our own backyard, Florida has the highest rate of HIV, or has a high rate of HIV, with more than 115,000 people living with the virus. In 2022, the state of Florida ranked second in the highest number of new HIV diagnoses. AIDS does not discriminate. It can strike down people who are strong in spirit and faith, as well as those who are in the grips of despair. In 1981, the CDC recognized HIV and AIDS and began warning healthcare workers and first responders about universal precautions when coming in contact with bodily fluids. Ronald Reagan finally made AIDS a top priority in 1985. Coincidentally, on the same day that his close friend Rock Hudson died of the disease. Perhaps it was Hudson's illness that finally caused him to recognize that the disease was already ravaging our population. It became a joke to some as the gay plague. And then there were people who treated anyone with HIV or AIDS like lepers, and the fear was similar. It frequently became subject in television shows and usually approached with fear. I lived in Boston at that time and watched as numerous people from communities I was part of, wonderful, spiritual people, taken by this disease. Then in the early 1990s, my baby brother was diagnosed with AIDS. I was devastated. I thought for sure I was going to lose my baby brother, and there was nothing I could do about it. Our mother was inconsolable, yet Dad was somehow optimistic. It was confusing. I started reading books and preparing myself for the grief. My then fiance and I lived a few towns over from Boston, and knowing that the best treatments were at Mass General, we opened our home to my brother. When he arrived in Boston, he looked so sickly and fragile. I was terrified that he might die in my home on my watch without Mom and Dad there to be by his side. Because of all the fear that we had been taught, it became somewhat frightening for us. But I wanted to do anything I could to save my baby brother. We worried that we needed to be cautious about hygiene for our own protection and for his. We needed to treat any foods that he ate with special care, and we watched and we hoped. Thankfully, he was able to participate in an early study for treatment that ended up saving his life. Today, he is a survivor with an undetectable viral load. Thank goodness for those medications. I feel so blessed to have him in my life still, to have watched him coming back to life. He is now a strong man, often in the gym, who goes boating and jet skiing in the summer and skis in the winters. He might just outlive us all out of obstinance. When I found that I would be leading this service, I asked him if he would share any thoughts of his experience, of what it was like to be a survivor, of anything he wanted to share. He told me it was a time in his life that he wanted to forget, because that time had been such a trauma in his life. He has since moved on and put it behind him. Today, there are still millions who are struck down by AIDS. Most of them live in Africa and other high poverty areas, often facing difficulty finding treatments. Only 55% of children with HIV living in Africa have access to life-saving drugs. So what can we do? Isn't that the question we always ask ourselves when any huge situation arises that we feel drawn to do something about? It feels like this battle has been going on for so long that we no longer know how bad it is or what to do about it. First, we are called to love. We acknowledge that when any in our global community is suffering, we all suffer. We are called to compassionate care. We must help ensure that all who are infected with HIV have access to adequate care, regardless of age, race, sex, presentation, and location in the world. We promote prevention. We promote accurate and comprehensive information to the public. The disease may not be discussed often anymore, but it is here. It is still epidemic. We speak out against intolerance and bigotry. There are huge numbers of people who still believe this is a gay disease. There are still people whose mindset remains in the 1980s when approaching people infected with HIV. We change our society. We seek ways to prevent economic disparity and poverty, which are major contributing factors in the AIDS pandemic, and barriers to treatment. We push for cure. We ensure that it is still talked about with accurate information. We commit ourselves to action because history will judge us on how we respond. We remember. This poem, Downpour, by Billy Collins, speaks to the remembering. Last night, we ended up on the couch trying to remember all of the friends who had died so far. And this morning, I wrote it down in alphabetical order on the flip side of a shopping list you left on the kitchen table. So many of them had been swept away as if by a hand from the sky. It is good to recall them. I was thinking, under the cold lights of a supermarket, as I guided a cart with wobbly wheels up and down the strident aisles. I was on the lookout for blueberries, English muffins, linguine, heavy cream, light bulbs, apples, Canadian bacon, and whatever else was on the list, which I managed to keep grocery side up, until I passed through the electric doors, where I stopped to realize, as I turned the list over, that I had forgotten Terry O'Shea, as well as the bananas and the bread. It was pouring by then, spilling, as they say in Ireland, people splashing across the lot to their cars. And that is when I set out, walking slowly and precisely, a soaking wet man bearing bags of groceries, walking as if in procession, honoring the dead. I felt I owed this to Terry, who was such a strong painter, for almost forgetting him, and to all the others who had formed a circle around him in the screen in my head as I walked more slowly in the presence of compassion. The dead were extending to a comrade. Plus, I was in no hurry to return to the kitchen, where I would have to tell you about Terry and the bananas and the bread. I call upon each of you to join me in gratitude to the divine, Great Spirit, God, Goddess, universe, source of all, whatever you may call it, for those who have been survivors. and to join me in holding sacred space in our hearts for those we have lost. Remember that we are here to be each other's support through any difficulties. We are all here to help each other to hope. I know that all of you are my hope. Blessed be Aho and Amen. Please join us in our hymn number 138, These Things Shall Pass. Sometimes it feels like there is nothing we can do to change our world. We must remember that the best way to change the world is to change our own little corner of it. And that as we make changes, it touches other people, and they touch others. It's a ripple effect. UUCFM has made contributions that have an impact. We just sent $1,100 to the UUA Disaster Relief Fund because of your contributions. Think about the people whose lives that will touch. The last time the Quality Life Center was our sharing partner, you all contributed $900. That helped create changes for those people that Q touches. The work ahead of us that we are called to do is at the core of being UU. It is so important to us because love is at the center of all that we do and all that we wish for those around us. It's at the core of our spiritual values. We can express that spiritual value by making real-world contributions. We can volunteer our time and services in many ways. Here and now, we have the opportunity to make those values real through financial contribution. I invite you to make manifest your commitment to our principle of love for and with this community, and be generous in giving to the work of this congregation. Every month, we also donate funds to a local community organization that shares our values. December's community sharing partner is the Quality Life Center. At the Q, they strive to create a brighter future for both individuals and communities. Through a blend of academic enrichment, performing arts, leadership development, and cultural awareness, they empower young people and undeserved communities to unlock their full potential and thrive in a world of possibilities. You can indicate on your check or offering envelope where you would like your funds to go, either to UCFM or our sharing partner. Undesignated funds will be contributed to our sharing partner. We also have envelopes marked staff. These envelopes are for contributions that will help us to provide a gift for those wonderful staff members who take care of us and help us to bring this service to all of you.
Since our director of music has this Sunday off, our choir is taking a well-deserved break. So I will be playing something for you this morning in celebration of Advent. This is the Allegro movement from Baroque composer Arcangelo Corelli's Christmas Concerto. It may be a little less familiar to most of you, but it's one of my favorite seasonal pieces, and it's my pleasure to share this with you. I offer this to welcome in the Christmas season.
Please rise in body or spirit. Though our congregation may ebb and flow, shrink and grow, as months pass and seasons come and hurricanes come and go, one thing that does not change in our beautiful congregation is the giving hearts, your giving hearts, the generosity of all of you. Please join me in Speaking our words of gratitude. Thank you. As we extinguish our flame today, I call upon each of you to think about ways in which you can help change your own little corner of the world. Remember that if you share the flame from your heart, it does not ignite, or it does not extinguish your own flame. It simply grows to the next flame you ignite. With words by Ben Atherton Zama, I honor the extinguishing. As we extinguish the flame in our chalice, we ignite it inside ourselves. Our commitment to our mission and to one another is unquenchable. Let us remember that we are not alone until we light this flame the next time. Let's say our covenant together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join in our hymn number 226, People Look East. While I ask that we may continue answering our call to the fight against the pandemic of HIV and AIDS, I leave you on a high note. In recognition of the first day of Advent, I share with you Breathed into the World by Reverend Sandra Fees. Whoever you are, wherever you go, may you know the stillness of winter and the call to love. May you see the moon silvering the night sky, and let the dark of midnight plunge you into your truest self and fling you back out again to a world in need of who you are. May there be familiar carols you know by heart, new melodies you set free. May there be feasting and frolicking, kindness and wonderment. And may there be wise people to follow a star in the east and a child to teach us to love. And enough magic to let the imagination go wild. Let the holidays arrive with their enchantments, with glitter and glow and gold, to let what wants to be born break through. May the presence of the holy crowd out the fear, hate, and worry, and proclaim in this moment that peace and goodwill might yet be breathed into the world. And a vow that we too can give birth to love wherever we go, whoever you are.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We certainly hope that you've enjoyed this exploration with us today. And I'd like to take a moment to give special thanks to Jeff Letts for all of his hard work this morning with the stones and the gathering and accompanying the hymns. Really appreciate the efforts that we've given. After the worship team has exited the sanctuary, please feel free to greet your neighbors and join us in Hobart Hall for coffee and fellowship. If you are new and would like to engage in conversation, we would like to invite you to use one of the yellow coffee mugs for two reasons. First, this will signal to us that you'd like to be greeted and get to know us. And secondly, it holds more coffee. Social justice t-shirts are available for sale in the hall. We're putting them out every week, and they are for sale, with proceeds going to anything that the Social Justice Committee requires in order to make our social justice commitments happen. We have all sizes available from small to extra large. Our current color is purple, so that if we are gathering as a group for a particular issue, we are visible as a group in our commonly purple tees. However, there are some previous year's colors still available in green. Also, a box in the narthex is available if you would like to make a food donation to the Southwest Florida Food Pantry. In addition, Lesley Gatto is overseeing our toy drive for the Quality Life Center, and I'd like to invite her to speak for just a moment or two.
This is your reminder that if you took one of those little yellow slips that had a person's age and gender on it, make sure you purchase that and bring it to church before this 16th. So you have next week, the 8th and the 15th. The 15th is the deadline. And if you haven't bought anything and you would like to contribute, I'm still collecting cash donations because I've bought a lot of gifts and I don't have quite the amount to cover that. So if you want to participate, you still can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lesley. I'd also like to invite you to explore our library, which is located to the left as you exit the sanctuary, and come see our variety of books, including ones which are currently banned in the state of Florida. If you are joining us on Zoom, please stay if you wish to enjoy conversation and fellowship. I wish all of you a wonderful Advent season and a beautiful Sunday. Go in peace.